Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and that means I'm doing LinkedIn Live. And today we're talking about job search after 50. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Why not leave a comment and just tell us where you're joining us from? It's a lot of fun to see people coming on these LinkedIn Live sessions from all over the world. So far, I think the only continent we haven't heard from is Antarctica, So I'd love to just have you leave a comment and say hi and tell us where you are joining us from. That'd be great. And so the topic is job search after 50 today. For some reason, for numerous very good reasons, the topic of job search over 50 or after the age of 50 is a big deal for a lot of folks. They say that it gets harder. It's different job seeking. So they tell me after a certain age. Now, is it necessarily the age 50 and it couldn't be 48 or 46 or 53 or something else? Of course not. There's nothing specific about turning 50 that necessarily makes a job search any harder than it would be at any other age. But this is what I hear from folks all over the world, all over the place, and in every function, is that there's something about their advancing age that makes a job search feel harder. And that is what we're talking about today. We're talking about why that would be so and what to do about it, how to deal with that. Okay, so thanks for joining us. And we see Sweden, hello, and you're 60, awesome. 60 is awesome too. Hey, Portland, Oregon, glad you're here. And Egypt, welcome, welcome. And where else? Where else? Redmond, Washington, of course. Fabulous. West Africa, Ghana, Medase, for coming on board. Florida, Tanzania, Brazil, Jordan. Great. Fantastic. Can I talk about job search for fresh grad? Another time, I totally will, and I have many, many times. But today we're focusing on the over 50 thing. So let's talk about 50. Is there something magical about the age 50? There kind of is. I think there is something magical about 50, about hitting that half century mark. It's a big deal, right? In earlier times, that would have been old age. And now it is absolutely not old age. Speaking as someone who crossed that milestone a minute ago, right? It's an age, though, that forces you, just by the power of numbers, to kind of look back and say, wow, I have done some stuff. I have learned some stuff. I've tried some stuff. I have some battle scars. I have some bruises. I have some wisdom to share. And it's very hard to have those positive feelings about turning 50, about making it, about accomplishing everything that you've accomplished and helping the people you've helped and seeing the things you've seen. And then to feel like, yeah, but this now, my age is going to be a liability. It's going to be a hindrance in my job search. And so I wanted to do this session today to tell you it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. There are so many good things about turning 50, so many gifts really that we get of wisdom, of recognition of what's important. Many, many, many people tell me that when they turned 50, something shifted in them and they didn't care so much what other people thought, about what they did or said. In other words, they didn't feel like they were working to get anyone else's approval so much after they hit 50, because why? Whose approval do I need, right? I need my own. And the people close to me maybe, but not the whole wide world. And so it's a shame to reach that wonderful age and have those feelings of, yeah, I have traveled on this earth. I have done some things and I have seen and experienced some things, and I want to celebrate that. And then to feel like, but my job search is going to get harder. So we are going to talk today about the three obstacles, the three impediments that really keep people over 50 or even a younger or older age, wherever they feel like their age is a factor, their age is a negative factor in their job search. We're going to talk about the three impediments that get in the way of people, smart people, getting into great, meaty jobs where they can make a difference, that are related to this idea of age or being too old or something. And we're going to talk about all three of them and break them down. But first, I'm going to take a break and just say hi to some newer folks who have joined us. Yeah, Erica, stick around and we'll talk about employers and their attitudes and your attitude as well. So, hi from Turkey, hello, hello, Merhaba, and from Nigeria, hello, hello, and from Buenos Aires, wow. So, very great to see everybody here. Okay, so what are the three impediments to job search for people of a certain age that we are calling 50, and it doesn't have to be 50? Okay, the first one is, unshockingly, the attitudes of other people in the job search process, meaning particular recruiters, particular HR folks, internal recruiters, and hiring managers. Their attitudes manifested in what we call age discrimination, right? That's obstacle number one, and we're going to talk about that first. There are two other obstacles that we will get to afterwards, but let's start with age discrimination because it's such a hot topic, right? I had a comment that said, "Tell the employers." Yeah, well, presumably there are employers here and employers who get a lot of the stuff that I publish. So I hope I'm sending that message loudly and consistently enough. But I'll tell you what, age discrimination carries a lot of weight. Age discrimination in the United States of America is illegal, it's unlawful. There may be a very small company size under which, meaning numbers of employees, under which it's not. But in general, most companies, you cannot discriminate against someone in employment based on their age, not just in the decision whether or not to hire them, but any employment related decision, meaning a promotion, a pay raise, whatever. It's also illegal to discriminate against folks based on their ethnicity, their race, their parental status, right? Their country of origin, their disabled status. In the United States, it's no longer lawful to discriminate against members of the LGBTQ plus community in employment. Well, what do all these things have in common? Well, they're all things that are illegal and they still happen. They still happen. It still happens that people get discriminated against for all of those bad reasons, right? And it's all illegal. And so, what are we going to do about it? The process of filing a claim or suing an employer because they discriminated against you based on any of those things, those groups are called protected classes. If you're over 40, if you're 40 years old and one day in the United States, you're a member of a protected class, okay? And if you are disabled, you are a member of a different protected class. And if you're gay, you're a member of another protected class. And religion is a protected class. So one religion to another, people are not supposed to discriminate. And yet it happens. The process for filing a claim is that you make a claim with your state's Department of Labor or the federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is the organization, a federal agency that looks after discrimination in the workplace. And you can do that, and you can fill out their forms online at the state level or the federal level. And most often, what happens is you will get a letter back. You may get an email or a letter asking you for more details. What makes you think that you were not hired because of your age? What evidence do you have? You have to have evidence. You can't say, well, I'm older and they didn't hire me, so that's probably why. You have to have evidence, and it's hard to get because you don't know who they hired instead of you, right? Or even if they filled the job, unless you happen to hang around their LinkedIn and look for maybe a new employee who seems younger than you. But obviously, that is not proof that you were not hired because of your age. Unfortunately, the data around these claims is not that good. There was a high-profile case a few years ago. Gentleman did not get hired for a job he felt he was well qualified for. They hired someone younger, and they said to him, they told him with their mouth and didn't deny it, you are a little long in the tooth. You are a little long in the tooth. Now, this is English slang, vernacular, American English. Long in the tooth means there's more tooth showing. The gums have receded. It means old. It means old. They told him that, and still the case went against him. He did not prevail. He did not get hired. He did not get any money. Somehow, being told you're old and then not being hired is not proof that you were not hired because you were old. I mean, this is the reality. And I don't like to share bad news, but I want to let you know what is happening out there. Filing a charge and suing for age discrimination could be a great idea if you have something in writing, but otherwise, and something more than long in the tooth, but otherwise, it's probably not a great use of your time. You can talk to an attorney, of course, about age discrimination, but you have to pay the attorney. Unless they give a free consult, someone has to pay them. They're not going to talk to you, for nothing, unless they're a very kind attorney who does free consults as they begin a conversation with a new client. So I say this up front to let you know age discrimination is 100% real. It's 100% unlawful in the United States, and it 100% happens. And it's very difficult to fight it in that transaction with that one employer. If you feel this is the reason I'm not advancing or they're not making me an offer, you can file a claim, but based on what? And the other things that you can do are far more powerful, right? The other things you can do that we are going to talk about in a moment. So age discrimination is something that only invites you into this protected class when you're 40. There are other types of discrimination, like discrimination by national origin or ethnicity or race or disabled status that could kick in way earlier. In other words, there are people who are job hunting, and there have always been people who are job hunting who are just going to be in that protected class. That's it. They started in the protected class, and they're going to be in that protected class until they retire or stop working. So collectively, as a group, we have to find other ways to deal with these obstacles than to say, well, they can't do that, and I'm going to make them stop. The other issue is that your mission to get one company to hire you when they didn't want to hire you because they thought you were too old. Is that your mission? I think it's righteous when people stand up for what they believe in, but we're not always in a position to stop the action. When we're looking for a job, not continue the job search and focus on this discrimination charge that has a pretty low chance of prevailing. And any employment attorney will tell you the same thing. We have to find other ways to deal with this. So I'm going to stop and look at the comments, see what we got. It's interesting. The question about your age is not illegal, not federally. In certain places, it very well may be. These questions, a lot of times people say, oh, that's an illegal question. Do you have children? Or what's your age? It's not illegal to ask you when you graduated from high school or college. It's not illegal to ask your age. It's just that they're not supposed to use that information in making a hiring decision. All right, let's see what we got here. La la la. Give us 2-3 seconds. Laws are window dressing to keep the plebes from rebelling. Can't totally disagree with that, right? U.S. employment laws are not good. All right, we'll just say that as a baseline. They're not good. They're certainly not good for us, for people on the talent side of the equation, for working people. Okay. So we said that age discrimination or negative attitudes toward people of a certain age in general is one of 3 obstacles that makes it harder or creates the perception among a lot of folks 45, 50, 55 and older that it's harder to get a job. And age discrimination, or a generalized set of negative impressions around people based on their age, is one of those obstacles. What are the other 2 obstacles? The second one is our own views, our own perception of ourselves, of job hunting at our age, and of employers and their reactions, right? Many people walk around saying, now that I'm 50, all I run into is age discrimination. And I say, not sure that's true. A lot of people, maybe the vast majority of people, really don't know what works in job hunting, and they throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, another piece of American slang. And if it doesn't work, it's so tempting to say, it must be my age. It must be this or that about me. We don't have evidence, but we say, well, it must be that because I have a lot of experience. It must be my age because I have a lot of skills. The two other impediments apart from age discrimination for job seekers that reach middle age or reach maturity is that their own perceptions get in the way. For example, if you go to a job search, hey, look, job seeking is not most people's favorite activity, and it can be daunting. It can be hard, it can be frustrating, but if we go there with the sort of physical chip on the shoulder that says, I bet you're going to discriminate against me because of my age, that's fear. That's just like in any new relationship, right? Somebody gets burned in the dating scene and they say, I'm never going to date again. That's their choice, but it keeps them from experiencing something that might be a lot better because they got burned, they got mistreated once or twice or 15 times, right? We got to be willing to step through that. In the job search realm, what happens is people say age discrimination is everywhere. I'm giving up. Well, look, there's a crying need for talent right now. And yes, there's age discrimination, but not in my experience, such an overwhelming amount of age discrimination that they're not going to hire you if they believe you can do the job just for this flimsy sort of idea that, well, maybe you're a little older and you can't do the job, right? We have to be willing to step through our own concerns too. Look at, I might be older than you. I didn't grow up with role models of 50-year-old working women in responsible positions having, the kinds of jobs that women have now, 50, 60, 70, whatever years old. And so that was a piece of the puzzle or the picture that was missing for me. I didn't see that when I was a kid growing up. It wasn't there. There were very, very few older women in big responsible jobs. Now there are more, thank goodness, but we have our own stuff, is what I'm trying to say. And our own stuff can get in the way of our job search, like the perception if I don't get a job, it's always age discrimination. And there could be no other reason. Obviously, that does not help us, right? Or our own feelings that we may find it hard or impossible to articulate about, are my skills degrading? No, your skills, of course, are not degrading. That's silly. Your skills don't just degrade, right? Like expiration date of some potato salad in the fridge. No, of course not. But our own feelings about, am I able to do this job? There's a lot of technical jargon in the job ad. I didn't understand it. Or these interviewers are so young, they're kind of brusque. There could be things on our side of the equation. And here's the thing, it's not a them versus us. If it is them versus us, we're just done. We should just, really stop and take a look at that. Because as long as we believe that I have to like push through this sort of wall of ugliness and meanness and age discrimination and all this kind of stuff, and this is any member of any protected class, right? We're not going to be in our power, which is the way we always have to be when we're job hunting. We can't go to a job hunt out on the job search trail, not in our power, not knowing what we do well, what problems we solve at work, right? And we can get into a pattern based on our discomfort. I call it fear of job hunting, of running into more discouragement, running into what feels like rejection. It's really hard, and we can lose all of our power, and we have to build it back up. That means surrounding ourselves with the people who make us feel powerful, remind us that we're funny and we're smart and we're accomplished and we've done things that are going to be valuable to our next employer, right? We have to go to a job hunt, any job hunt. And this is people of any age with our full resources, feeling strong, feeling like there is an employer out there, if not more than one, who can use what I bring. We have to go that way because otherwise, who would think about dating? Let's go to dating because we all know that analogy, right? Dating, it's very familiar scenario on TV and online and from movies for millions of years. Dating, dating, dating. We know what it's like, right? We don't want to go out and meet someone on a date and be needy, like, please, please like me. I really need you to like me, because then they're going to be turned off the same way you would be turned off if someone went on a date with you and say, oh, you're so amazing. Like, I would be so honored if you would see me again, you'd be like, I kind of looking for someone who really knows themselves and is into themselves and feels their power. It's the same way when you're job hunting. It's no different. And sometimes we get beaten down, of course, by the job search experience. And that's when we can turn very negative switch on that says it's probably just my age and screw all these people. And it's kind of like, well, that is not the way to get the job that deserves you or the job you deserve. So I said there were three impediments to job hunters of a certain age. They will decide for themselves what that age is, but we're using 50 as a placeholder. And the first one is attitudes on the side of employers and recruiters sometimes about us, about what an older job seeker means. Negative, based on nothing, there's no data. It says people reach a certain age and they can't do these jobs, right? But the second one is us and our own perceptions that we may not even be aware we have, right? That makes it harder. And the third impediment is methodology. How are we going about our job hunt? We're going to talk about that when I come back, but I'm going to take a little break and look at the comments. From Kenya, hello. Yes, blessings to reach that age. That's how I feel too. Age is just a number. A recruiter at a search firm, not to be mentioned, had me in for an interview and said I was not the age her clients were looking for, new emerging professionals. Yeah, that's so illegal. If you had that on tape, see, that's where if you had that on tape, you had that on your iPhone, they would not, they would be very unhappy to hear from you, but it would be a good thing. It'd be a good thing for everyone. Um, blah, blah, blah. Looking for a question? No questions yet. I dress to look younger. Yeah, that's a personal thing. There's a lot of stuff out there about dress to look younger and all that. It's completely up to you. I would say dress to feel like you, dress to look like you, dress to look like you the way you want to look, feeling supported, by your body and your history and your experiences is the key, right? We're talking about feeling good when you go to an interview or even when you apply for a job, however you do that. So I get a little squeamish at the idea. Let me look younger. What difference is it going to make, right? If somebody is negatively inclined towards 50-year-olds, they're not going to care if somebody looks slightly younger. It's kind of like, here's the thing: why would we try to change anybody's impression? Why would we try to change anyone's impression? If they are that way, if they have those negative connotations about us, move on and talk to somebody else. Going in costume, going in disguise. I mean, I want you to feel good, right? How you wear your hair, how you like it, wear the clothes you like, jewelry, makeup, whatever you do. But at the end of the day, we are not here to sort of mislead anyone, right? We're here to say, here's who I am, here's what I bring. I don't know if you need this kind of help, but if you need this kind of help, this is the kind of stuff that I do. You need one hiring manager to see what you bring. Just one. You don't need 15. You need one, and it means keep looking, right? But we have to step out of this attitude. They all hate me, or the deck is stacked against me. Remember, there are people that didn't have the privilege of working for however many years before they entered a protected class where things maybe got harder. They were in it from the get. They were in that protected class, and they have to deal, and they have to get a job, and we have to do the same thing. We have to remember our own power. And my very first suggestion about that is to get a journal. Get a journal and write in it. Write your stories because it is so easy to forget them. Sometimes our friends can remind us of the incredible things we've done at work and outside of work and how capable and how together we are, right? Because the amorphous them, the bad guys that don't like me because of my age, that's an enemy you can't fight. And that's actually in you, this idea that the world must be full of these people, right? We know there's some of it. We know it happens, right? But does it happen to every single over 50 job seeker every time they go on a job interview? Probably not. Companies need help. They go on LinkedIn, they see your picture, right? You don't have your high school graduation picture there. They know you're not 20. And there are people who are looking for people with experience. And that's what age means. It means experience. You were out here doing something for all those years. I mentioned that one of the impediments to job hunting over age 50 for a lot of folks is attitudes on the other side of the table. We talked about that. Because you cannot fight age discrimination in the moment, what are you going to do? Right? How are you going to get somebody out of this mindset if indeed they have the mindset that over 50 is a problem? I don't think you're going to talk them out of it, right? And why would you spend the time? But what you can do is pull back the truck, right? Get more perspective and say, okay, you know what? That's going to happen to me some of the time. And I'm going to interview a lot. And I'm going to interview until I find the people where it's not even an issue, because I guarantee you they are out there and they are making offers. And job hunting involves volume. It does involve quantity as well as quality, meaning lots of interviews. Lots of interviews, because you are checking out the market just as much as they are. I really don't want you to take the first job offer you get unless it seems custom made for you in every way. I would much rather have you go on 8 or 10 or 12 interviews or more to meet a lot of people and get clearer on what you need and deserve for yourself. That's the piece of job hunting we often drop out. What do I want? We tend to go to a job interview like, I hope I can impress these guys. I hope they like me. I hope I answered that question okay. Turning 50 means dropping all that. Dropping all that. Did I do okay? Because that energy is not going to get us hired by the people that we most want to work for, people who are confident in their own skin. Know what I'm saying? You wouldn't go to a date like that. You wouldn't go to a social networking meeting like that, right? You wouldn't go to any other kind of gathering with the idea, I hope I do okay. You turn 50, you do okay every day just by waking up and getting dressed. That's it. You've got it already. You've got it already. And so it's a matter of other people seeing it or not seeing it. You may not be able to help them see it, and that's okay. If you find on an interview, and we've all been here, that you're just burbling, trying to get them, you can see this in the face, nothing like this. They're talking to you like this. They're thinking about something else, and you're really trying to get them to understand, but I did a job just like this and this. Why? Why? There's either going to be resonance. They're either going to get you or they're not going to get you. And here's the thing, especially after 50, only the people who get you deserve you. Only the people who resonate like you, that they laugh at your jokes and they understand what you're talking about. You can't force your way through this energetic wall of people that are just never going to see your brilliance. And you wouldn't like the job if you got it. And listen, sometimes money runs out and there is no more money left and you have to take a job. Different story. Just take a job. Just take any job. Get your bearings, gather your breath, start job hunting again in a month or two. Right? In the United States, we have employment at will. Jobs are not for life or a year or 5 years. They're for whatever. There's no guarantee at all how long a job is going to last. So you are not bound to stay at a job for any particular period of time. You take a job, and if it's a job just to chill and get ready for the next job hunt, then that's what it is. Right? But when you feel like I have my feet under me, I'm gathering my strength here and I'm ready to start job hunting, you need one hiring manager who gets you and therefore deserves you. That's it. Right? We all know about that first impediment, age discrimination. We actually make it bigger than it is, more formidable than it is, more scary than it is. And we unfortunately feed the wrong wolf. You've heard that story about, I guess it's Native American story. A guy said, my father told me there's two wolves inside of every person, the empathetic one, the kind one, and then the evil, mean one. And well, which one prevails? Well, the one you feed, right? So we feed the wrong wolf when we say, well, forget all these employers. They're horrible and they always discriminate and it's not fair. How's that you in your power? It's not, right? It's rising up. Deep breath. Well, that interview wasn't the one I'm going to work for. So I'm going to take the rest of the afternoon and, do something more productive with my time. I'll pick up the job search again tomorrow. I only need one. I'm looking for somebody that gets me and that I can have an intelligent conversation with. And I need one. So maybe I'll be a little choosier about the interviews that I do, or maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just do a lot of interviews so I get past some of those really angry, hostile feelings because your feelings don't hurt them. They hurt you. They hurt you. They suck away your power thinking about, I can't believe they didn't move me on to a second interview. I was perfect with that door. They don't deserve it. The wrong date. They don't deserve it. Move on. Whoop, they're gone. They're out of your memory. This is a practice that we're cultivating, is that you don't waste time thinking about the one that got away. They weren't even anything. You might not have liked the job if you got it. You gotta let it go. I'm talking about your power, right? Your power. You are interviewing employers as much as they are interviewing you. And it is going to take some time, but the right thing is going to happen. And what's going to make it happen is you believing in yourself, that you are bigger than any kind of discrimination, than age discrimination. What? I'm bigger than what? Yeah, age discrimination is like a societal issue. It's out there. I'm going to walk into a meeting. It might be my next interview, might be the one after that. And I'm going to have a conversation that it's going to be the right thing. And they're going to hire me. And the very last thing they're going to be thinking about is my age. So we said there are 3 impediments here. And the first one is age discrimination or negative impressions of people of a certain age. And the second one is our own mindset that gets in the way, right? We get beaten down and then our mindset becomes its own impediment, apart from age discrimination, where everything looks like age discrimination, every delay, every no thank you, every getting ghosted. It all looks like, oh, it's all about my age. I don't know. A lot of people experience that are 25 and 30 years old. And the third one is our method. But before I get into job search methodology, let me stop and mention that I'm doing a free webinar next Tuesday and Thursday, the 2nd and 4th of August. I'm doing it twice. And it's reinvention after 50. It's reinvention after 50. The job search aspect, which is big for some people, and reinvention in general, apart from job hunting, just reinventing as a person after age 50 and what that means. And I'd love for you to come to the webinar. It's free. It's called Reinvention After 50. If you leave a comment today during this LinkedIn Live, I'll comment back and I'll give you the link to register for the free webinar, Reinvention After 50. So if you haven't commented already, please comment now and I'll send you that link. All right. Reinvention After 50 webinar next Tuesday and Thursday, August 2nd and 4th. And I would love for you to be there. All right. So yeah, it's true. Joseph is saying, I can say it's all about your power. It is. This is a tough message for job hunters of any age. And it's not just a job hunt topic. It's everything we want to do in life as well as at work. How we feel about ourselves. Think about salespeople. And in a way, we're all salespeople. Think about a salesperson going in and saying, I'm going to make this sale. I think I'm going to make this sale. And if I don't make the sale, I'll make the next one because I'm a really good salesperson. That attitude carries the day. And it's the same thing with job hunting. We unwittingly, unintentionally, sometimes go to a job interview with the attitude like, okay, what questions you got for me? I've been doing this for 30 years. I really got to answer these questions. What are you, 23? You're younger than my daughter. I mean, seriously, I'm just telling you, I've interviewed 10,000 or more candidates. My background is HR. I was SVP of HR for a Fortune 500 company, right? We interviewed scads of people, countless numbers of candidates. And some people come with the attitude, you're probably not going to like me. So let me step into that now and protect myself emotionally. I don't want you to go to an interview bowing and scraping and trying to impress anyone. I just want you to go as yourself, just breezy. I'm here to talk to you. It's kind of fun to talk to new people. We'll see what happens, and we'll take it from there. The same way you would go on a date or a networking coffee meeting. You would go to say, I wouldn't have come if I wasn't ready to just bring a little bit of myself and have a cup of coffee or tea or kombucha or whatever and have a conversation. And that is the aspect. That is the demeanor that we want in a job interview. I use the word breezy. Some people resonate with that. Some people don't. It's just let's have a conversation. If it works out, if it doesn't work out, life is long. Maybe our paths will circle back at another time. But I am not here to grovel or play the submissive dog, which unfortunately some interviewers seem to want. But I'm also not here to be like, poor me, you're probably not going to be interested in me because of my age. Because why would they want to hire a person with that outlook, right? Okay. So I said I was going to talk about job search methodology, and I'm going to do that right now. Look it, I told you I worked as an HR VP for ages, and I have a lot to say, and I do say a lot on the topic of how to recruit. Okay, because it's not that great in a lot of places, not just the U.S. The U.S. has exported their not great recruiting technology and mindset abroad, unfortunately. So job ads are not good. They're not helpful. And a lot of times they push people away. They don't say what would be interesting about the job. They just say, here's all the 15 things you need to apply for the job. So you have to kind of read past the job ad. Go ahead and apply for the job if you have 1/3 of the things they're looking for. 1/3 of the bullet points. Average job ad, 16 bullet points. That's ridiculous. That's way too many. So you just mentally discount the ones you don't have and go ahead and apply for the job anyway, right? Interviewing process, also not good. It's very formal, oftentimes, or the interviewers aren't prepared. That's a whole other conversation, but we know it's true, right? So they read from a script and they may not be paying attention to your answer. A very, very, very good goal in an interview is to get the interviewer to some degree off the script. You probably won't be able to keep them off the script for the whole interview. They're eventually going to pick the script back up and start reading from it, but that's fine. Anytime you can get the interviewer off the script without going off topic, right? It has to be relevant to your conversation. But anytime you can get the interviewer off the script, it's more of you and them interacting, and you are making more of an impression on the conversation, right? That means to get the interviewer off the script, they ask you a simple question like an oral exam in school, or even like a question when you're standing at customs and they're trying to let you in to some country and they ask really clipped, really short mini questions. How long will you be here? Where are you staying? What's the purpose of your visit? They don't want a whole paragraph. But when the interviewer, particularly a screening interviewer, before you meet the hiring manager, a screener, internal recruiter or HR person or whatever, when they ask you a very short question like, well, how'd you hear about the job? They're trying to fill out a form, right? Well, I saw it about on LinkedIn, or it was Indeed. Say more. Just say a little bit more. Say, I had seen a similar job at your company like a month ago and I was interested, but I didn't apply at that time. And then I saw this one come up and I thought, oh, this one's even closer to my skill set. Let me apply. Just get a little bit more content. Content being your personality, who you are and how you think. You're building rapport in an environment that is not always set up to facilitate or encourage rapport building. You're gonna just twist that frame a little bit. You know why you get to do that? Because you're 50. You've been on this planet a long time. You're allowed to have a little fun in the interview and make it a little bit social. We don't have to fall into the frame exactly like this is a formal business meeting and I have to do exactly what this lady says. You're 50, 48, you've been around the block. Right? You can stretch this frame, you can twist it, you can smash it, right? But with good humor and what am I trying to say? An attitude of possibility and abundance, not one of you guys are probably going to be like everybody else and discriminate against me, right? That is obviously a deal killer, energy killer, right? We have to be okay with ourselves to even be job hunting, or there's no point. There is no point if we go out there with the attitude, employers are just, the deck is stacked and there's just nothing to be done. Then, how can we even job hunt? It would be like a woman going to date a bunch of men with the attitude, but I hate men. If you hate men, how do you get through that, right? Or it could be any gender, but that's an example. You can't go to job hunt with the attitude, I'm screwed because of my age, because you're not. Because you're not. And right now, the so-called war for talent is so hot. It is going on, notwithstanding these layoffs from some of the big tech companies, which were sort of fear of recession fueled and some other reasons. But notwithstanding that, companies are hiring. Small companies, large companies, they are hiring and they need talent. And so part of your job as a job seeker is to talk about on an interview, not just I have done X and I have done Y, but also how do you do that here? How do you use that piece of software here? What are some of the big priorities in the department? Especially when you meet with the hiring manager. The hiring manager is the person who runs the department that you will be in if you end up in this job. And they have the pain. The screener doesn't have any pain. They're just meeting with you at 10 o'clock and they'll meet with somebody else at 10:30 and someone else at 11. You know, it's a part of their job, but they themselves are not losing sleep at night over the fact that there is no one in this role. But the hiring manager is. They have pain. So your ability to speak to that pain and say, well, I don't know what database you're using, but when I was over at the Audubon Society, we put in this database that was able to track, really? You want to grab them intellectually around their pain. So our tendency is to say, here's more about me. I've done this, I've done that. You got all these years of work experience to talk about. But the question is, as a buyer, why would they care about that? You have to make it relevant to them by having an idea when you walk into the interview about what their most likely pain point is. Right? We call this idea about the hiring manager's most likely pain point, we call it a pain hypothesis. If you read my book, Reinvention Roadmap, I talk a lot about pain hypotheses. What is this hiring manager dealing with that I have already dealt with and I can, be helpful on that front? It's a helpful approach. It's not a combative, I bet you're going to discriminate against me. That's defensive and protective. And we all understand where that emotion comes from, right? But it just doesn't help you. In this case, it works against you. And methodology can also work against you if it is not geared toward branding you for the problems that you solve, not the skills you possess, right? Back in the day, we used to say, I do typing, filing, stenography. But today we still do. A lot of people still do. I do writing and editing and a long list of, proofreading and database maintenance. It doesn't add up to anything. We don't want, you are at age 50 way too significant. You are more than a list of skills and a bundle of certifications. Tell us what you bring. Tell us in story form in your LinkedIn profile and in your resume what kinds of problems you have already solved. That is gripping content. That's what people want to hear. That's what people want to hear, hiring managers in particular, right? And we're going to talk about all this in my webinar next Tuesday and Thursday. It's called Reinvention After 50. And if you haven't already left a comment in the comment stream here, just leave a comment and I will comment back with the link to that webinar. So let me take a little break and look for some comments. Please send me the link to Reinvention webinar. I totally will when we get off here. I think the impediment that discourages me most is getting the attention of a recruiter or hiring manager. Okay, that's LinkedIn. The recruiters are on LinkedIn, thousands, tens of thousands of them. Your LinkedIn profile is what is going to get you noticed by recruiters. So if they're not contacting you, it's nothing you need to do outbound. It's working on that LinkedIn profile and making it crystal clear. Number one, what kind of job you want. A lot of people, you read their LinkedIn profile and you can't tell what kind of job they want. You don't have to use the open to hire badge if you don't want to, but you have to tell us what kind of job you want. That's critical. Number two, then your LinkedIn profile has to make it clear, why are you suited for that job? And you can do that. by telling how you've done similar jobs, telling stories about times when you solved the similar type of problem at a past job, or maybe not in a job, maybe in the community, maybe in a volunteer situation or in a place of worship or anything, right? Could be at school. That's the biggest problem that keeps recruiters from seeing you or noticing you, is that they can't tell who you're coming to the party as. Are you coming to the party as a database administrator? Are you coming to the party as an administrative assistant? Who are you coming to the party as? A marketing person? You got to decide. And sometimes at our age, you've done so much stuff, you don't want to lose anything, but you have to. Branding is choosing, it's selecting, it's winnowing down, right? What you want to do versus what you don't care as much about doing. You have to make choices. The strongest brand is the most powerful in the direction of what you've decided that you want to do. So this means you have to make a decision. What kind of job do I want next? I'm qualified to do all kinds of things, but what kind of job do I want? Okay. Let's see what we got. I've had a few interviewers think negative assumptions out loud. What? I call them out by counteracting their assumption, then get up and leave. They deserve a lesson. All right. Let's see. Many hiring managers are 15 years younger than I am. Many are looking for longevity of a role. Someone 30 has more longevity. That's so silly. I don't doubt at all that you're right about that. But are they all planning to be there in 20 years? Who's been in a job 20 years other than government, right? Or maybe family-owned business, unless that's all going away. Tenures on the job are shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. They're not thinking. There are negative. What are the negative associations in our culture about age, about being over 50, right? That you're not technologically savvy, although things are getting simpler and simpler, right? If my kid can explain to me how to use all these apps, then we can all learn, right? The idea that somehow you're not mentally sharp, so insulting. The leaders of countries are older than we are, but you're not mentally sharp. What else? That the health insurance will cost a lot. There are really no well-founded, solid, rational reasons for discounting or spurning older job seekers. But you know what? There's no rational reason for discounting Black job seekers. And look at discrimination against Black individuals. It's absurd. That's also illegal and widespread, right? So we all kind of are in the same boat. How do we rise above this? Not let our negative experiences sort of poison our future experiences. And how do we step forward knowing some of these people are not up to my standards, but I only need one. I only need one who is. What else? Question. Let's see. I need to create a video for the interview. I've not covered my gray white hair recently. I'm going to leave it white this time instead of covering it up. Absolutely. Talk about if you have to create a video. I'm not a fan of that, but I know some people do that now. Talk about a little bit about your background. I came up in accounting and I switched into sales, and now I really focus on and name a problem in that video. Name a problem. So I really the most likely problem you think that they are probably dealing with. Name it in that video. Now I really focus on working with companies that their financial package, their reporting package is not giving them the data that they need to make good sales and marketing decisions. And that's really, whatever your situation is, tell them the problem you solve. Okay, what else? Answer one more question. Show them you can do 50 push-ups. I myself can do like 17 push-ups. I can't do 50 push-ups. I guess I have to see now. Now I have to do push-ups and count how many I can do. The real ones, not the fake ones, the easy ones. Okay. Yeah, you can reinvent yourself after 60. Oh, yeah, after 70, 80. Yeah, you can. Never underestimate your experience. Hired to bring my experience as a 60-year-old to university students. I love that. My 60-year-old ex-manager said the candidate was too old to interview just by looking at the resume. oh, that person's asking for a big slap of negative karma in the face. But you know what? That's their path. You're on your path. You can just take that in and say, wow, okay, okay, Mr. Clueless, and move on, right? You don't need to be held down by that kind of attitude. Please send me the link. I totally, totally, totally will. You have an interview today at 4 p.m. EST. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Okay, just a couple thoughts for if you have an interview today or tomorrow. Number one, if you can get the interviewer off the script right away, it's huge. And how do you do that? You're walking, let's say it's a physical interview in their office. You're walking in, you sit down. Don't sit down as Hermione Granger, the job seeker, all ready to please. You sit down and you mention something. You say, wow, that's a great view of the Hudson River. Or wow, what a terrific view you have of the waterfall. That's crazy. How long have you guys been in this office? Make it here, put it here right away, right away, right away, because people are social animals and they will tend, this is the traditional thing, right? Employer up here, job seeker down here. Please, Your Majesty, please consider my lowly self, right? You do this. You start it off like a human being. You start the conversation, not waiting for the first question. Ew, no, you're not 22. I don't want 22-year-olds to do that either, but they're trained more recently than you and I are to sit there and wait for the interview question. You say, so, yeah, I didn't realize this industrial park was so built up. How long have you folks been here? Or, oh, I saw that you're opening a branch over in Lexington. That's pretty cool. Tell me about what's been going on. Go business with them. Go business right away. Not, I'm a job seeker. See what I'm saying? Start the interview with just a level energy, like I'm here to talk about stuff. What's your story? I wouldn't ask walking in the door, how did you get your job? Because that people feel on the spot. But that's a great question for later in the interview, right? Great question. Tell me your path. Tell me your story, Mr. or Ms. person, interviewer. I'd love to hear how you wended your way through all this stuff. People like to talk about themselves, right? In terms of the pain, I don't recommend that you say, what is your biggest problem? Because people don't like to talk about their problems, right? But you say, I've talked to a lot of folks who have similar jobs to yours, operations manager, and they talk about supply chain issues these days. How are supply chain issues doing for you? How are you guys doing with all this tumult in the supply chain, right? Go in. So we have this idea that we have to stay. Here's the interviewer over here, and here's us over here, right? We're over here. And so we have to stay on our side of the wall, our side of the desk, and wait until they ask a question. No, you cannot ask them a question at any point. Here's how you do it. They say, so how long have you been using Excel, right? Excel, the spreadsheet app from Microsoft. And you say, oh, Excel seems like I've used such a seamless, string of spreadsheet apps. I don't remember when I exactly started using Excel, but because it was based so closely on predecessor spreadsheet apps, it was just seamless. And I don't know, 6 or 7 years, I guess. How do you use Excel in this job? Just bring it into, make it a script. That is, make it a conversation. Get off the script and just ask a question at the end of your answer. Get out of oral exam mode or police interrogation mode. Just make it chill. And a lot of that's in your body, right? Right? It's not a trick. It's just a normal conversational thing that most people would do in a coffee meeting or anywhere. All right. Let's see. A couple more. If you haven't left a comment, please do. I have a free webinar coming up next week, and I would love to have you in there. Reinvention after 50. I don't think the cover letter's dead, Kathy. We'll talk about that next week. Branding it is about choosing. It is, yes, opportunity costs. You say the truth here, Hughes. Branding is all about opportunity cost. Nobody is looking for a person who types and files and this and that. If you do that stuff well, you call yourself an administrator, administrative assistant. You say, I help keep a busy CEO sane and organized. Give us what you do at a high level, not the tasks, right? Every single person in this room with me right now, every person who sees this video after the fact, we are at a place where we have to say what it means. what you actually solve, what you bring, what you contribute, what you make real, what you bring to fruition in your work. Not, here are some skills that I possess and things I can do. That's not a high power strategy. It's not you in your power. Okay. It is. It is like a conversation in a coffee shop. Wow. It is 1:55 my time. And I'm so glad that you were able to join me today. And just a tip, LinkedIn support let me know that the invitation feature, the functionality to invite people to these LinkedIn live sessions that I do on Thursdays at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, is really geared to inviting our own connections. I love to invite my followers to these LinkedIn live sessions as well, and I have a lot more followers, of course, than connections, first degree connections. But the invitations only go to a small subset of those followers, or organically through the LinkedIn algorithm. All of which is to say, the best way to get on a LinkedIn live session with me is to be on LinkedIn live, logged in at 1 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday. However, next Thursday, I'm not doing a LinkedIn Live because I'm doing the webinar that I mentioned, Reinvention After 50. But I'll be back a week later, the second week of August, doing LinkedIn Live again at 1 o'clock p.m. And I would absolutely love to see you there. You can always drop a note in my LinkedIn inbox. And you can find us, of course, at what's our URL? Humanworkplace.com. Our company is called Human Workplace. And our mission is to reinvent work for people. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's at Human Workplace, as well as LinkedIn. And I'm so, so, so glad to chat with you today. Have a magnificent, magnificent weekend, and I will see you soon.